I'd like to thank the Leader for facilitating the debate today on non-government motion number 5, which is the motion that my colleague Senator Mark Wall first proposed about the siege of Jadotville, and I'm really glad we've got government time today to debate that, and I know that's a matter of interest to quite a number of members in the House, so I'm really glad we've got that time. Could I also renew calls on the Leader for a debate on gender pay gap? Monday was Equal Pay Day. I know that colleagues yesterday in this House spoke of the need to bring forward legislation urgently to tackle Ireland's continuing gender pay gap, 14.4%. Colleagues may be aware that in the previous Seanad, I and my Labour colleagues introduced a bill. It passed all stages in the Seanad. It would have required companies with over 50 employees to publish anonymised data showing whether a gender pay gap existed in their organisation. Unfortunately, although the bill passed second stage in the Dáil, it has been stagnated there, and the government has not made any progress on furthering action needed to tackle the gender pay gap. We know action is needed, or the pay gap will simply increase. So, Leader, I know it's a matter for Deputy Leader. I know you're also anxious to see action taken on this. So I would ask you to request that a debate be had in this House on how best to move forward legislation on tackling the gender pay gap without delay. Thank you. And finally, on the issue of citizenship, and again another Labour private member's bill that we brought forward in the last term, which passed second stage in this House, which we'll be bringing back at committee stage on the 2nd of December. And I would ask, Deputy Leader, that you might seek to achieve government support for the provisions in that bill. It's hugely important. It would go some way towards reversing the effect of the 2004 citizenship referendum by restoring citizenship, or at least the right to apply for citizenship, to children born in Ireland. It's a hugely important issue. Labour Youth launched a campaign last week, about which I spoke in this House last week, called the Born Here, Belong Here campaign, seeking to encourage greater support for this concept. And I would ask, Leader, that you might make inquiries as to whether the government could support the bill going forward at committee stage. It's hugely important. A small number of children, but for whom this is obviously a very significant issue for them and indeed for their families. And indeed, we've seen reports of healthcare workers on the front line who similarly are facing uncertain futures where they're not sure if they will be given the right to remain in Ireland. So clearly we do need to be more generous in our approach to citizenship. It's in our own interests as a society, but also clearly in the interests of the children who were born in Ireland and whose status remains uncertain in some cases. So I'd ask you just to pursue those issues, and I just want to commend Labour Youth again for their work on this.
Thank you, Senator.